first time, we're learning what investigators say happened in the moments before a Del Rio mother of 5 was stabbed to death.
32-year-old Carolyn Raquel Peña was laid to rest today as 3 young women now face murder charges in her death. Court documents are also giving us our first detailed look at what police describe as a 3-on-1 attack.
At exactly 1:35 p.m. on June 25, 2026, a cell phone rings in the sun-bleached border town of Del Rio, Texas. The screen illuminates with a familiar name, Caroline Peña. Her closest friend misses the call by a matter of minutes, assuming it's just another routine afternoon check-in. She figures she will call her right back once the heavy summer heat dies down. She never gets the chance. Exactly 35 minutes later, at 2:10 p.m. a black pickup truck tears into the ambulance bay of Val Verde Regional Medical Center. Inside the cab, 32-year-old Caroline is suffocating, her clothes completely saturated with blood from 3 deep, ragged puncture wounds, 2 driven into her back, and 1 into her abdomen. But as a trauma team rushes out to pull her from the seat, a completely different scene is unfolding less than 2 miles away. 2 young sisters are stepping out of a residential shower, watching red water swirl down the drain. They are hurriedly changing out of their clothes, peeling off damp, stained tank tops and denim jeans, trying desperately to erase the physical evidence of what they just did. Within hours, the internet would completely obsess over this case, fueled by a viral bystander video of one of the suspects smiling directly into a smartphone camera while being loaded into a police cruiser. Social media commentators immediately labeled it a random, spontaneous road rage brawl near a local Sonic drive-in. But the official probable cause affidavits tell a completely different, far more calculated story. This wasn't a sudden street fight. It was a targeted, residential ambush caught from start to finish on a fixed security lens. What actually happened in those missing 35 minutes? To understand how a community fractured, we have to look past the social media speculation. Everyone in Del Rio called her Caro. She was a 32-year-old twin, a daughter, and above all else, a fiercely protective and devoted mother of 5 children. Caro's life wasn't defined by headlines or digital engagement metrics. It was defined by the relentless, quiet work of raising her 5 kids. Her friends didn't describe her with high-flown, dramatic language. They remembered her through the practical realities of small-town survival. If a neighbor was short on groceries, Caro split her pantry. If a young mother was trying to furnish her very first apartment, Caro was the one showing up at the door with a box of old baby clothes, a spare television, and a stack of videotapes to keep the kids quiet while she worked. Years earlier, Caro had learned how to survive the hard way. She and her lifelong friend, Zelina Ochoa, met as scared teenagers attending Cradles in the Classroom, a specialized regional program designed to help young teen parents stay in school while learning the basic ropes of raising a child. They were navigating high school algebra and infant formula at the exact same time. That common struggle forged a bond that lasted over a decade. Caroline grew up fast, her world rapidly expanding until it revolved entirely around 5 distinct lives, the oldest a 17-year-old boy who was just beginning to find his own way into adulthood. The night before the incident, Wednesday, June 24th, was completely ordinary. Caro was standing in her kitchen with her daughter, Cassandra, laughing and teaching her how to cook a pot of sopa de fideo. Her friend Zelina later noted that Caro simply loved the raw reality of motherhood, stating that she was one of those people who was truly born to be a mom. She had an infectious, loud laugh that could instantly reset the mood in a crowded room. On the morning of June 25th, Caro followed her standard routine. She was checking in on friends early, sending text messages, being the constant anchor she always was. She was the kind of person who would happily pick up your call at 5 in the morning just to listen. Which is exactly why that unanswered 1:35 p.m. call carries such a heavy, permanent weight for the people she left behind. Her best friend, Christina Salinas, would later look back at the missed timestamp with immense grief, stating, "I feel like if I would have answered that call, honestly I would have been there with her. It wouldn't have gotten like that." But the phone call went directly to voicemail. Caro hung up, adjusted the rearview mirror of her black pickup truck, and drove toward the 800 block of East 10th Street. She thought she was heading out to resolve a personal matter. What she didn't know was that a black Chrysler sedan was already moving through the streets of Del Rio, closing the distance toward the exact same driveway. If you read the early news briefs or watch the mainstream true crime coverage of this case, you'll constantly hear the same location cited. Early reports claimed Caro was attacked at a busy intersection directly outside a local Sonic drive-in. That geographical confusion came directly from an emotional, live local news interview with Caroline's close childhood friend, Zelina Ochoa, who used the landmark to explain to the public how shocking it was that the violence happened in broad daylight near a main road, noting that it happened at the corner near Sonic. But when you examine the formal probable cause affidavits, that rumor falls completely apart. The crime didn't happen on a high-traffic public road. It unfolded in a residential driveway on East 10th Street, just steps away from where 21-year-old Kyandra Faz lived. Del Rio Police Chief Frank Ramirez confirmed early in the investigation that every single person involved in this incident knew one another, though the department has strictly withheld the exact nature of their personal history. What the legal documents do make clear is that this was a planned destination. At roughly 1:40 p.m., Caro pulls her black pickup truck into the residential driveway. During later interrogations, Kyandra Faz claimed that Caro showed up at the property looking to start a fight. It's an aggressive, self-serving statement from a co-defendant facing first-degree murder charges, a claim entirely uncorroborated by independent witnesses. But before any verbal argument between the two women can even turn physical, the entire environment shifts. A black Chrysler sedan corners the property and brakes hard, pulling up directly behind Caro's pickup truck. The positioning is precise, blocking any potential path of retreat and completely trapping her vehicle in the driveway. The doors swing open. Stepping out onto the gravel are the Diaz sisters, 21-year-old Kitty Mia Diaz, and her 19-year-old younger sister, Amaya, known to her acquaintances as Cookie. Court records indicate the Diaz sisters didn't drive across town to talk, de-escalate, or act as passive bystanders. They arrived with immediate, physical intent. And tucked tightly into the hand of 19-year-old Amaya Diaz was a concealed, heavy blade. As Caro turns away from her truck to face the new arrival, she finds herself completely outnumbered, cornered against the side of her own vehicle. And the home security camera mounted just above the porch is about to record something completely undeniable. What followed next was not a prolonged, chaotic neighborhood melee. It was a rapid, multi-person assault that lasted less than 60 seconds, captured in its entirety by the residential home security system. The probable cause arrest affidavit outlines the video footage frame by frame. As Caroline Peña stands near the side of the truck, Amaya, Cookie Diaz walks directly up to her. She doesn't hesitate. She raises her arm, bringing the knife down with immense force. She doesn't strike from the front. The camera captures Amaya driving the blade straight into Caro's back. The initial blow is immediately catastrophic. The blade punctures Caro's lung, causing her respiratory system to instantly begin collapsing as oxygen mixes with blood. Before Caro can fully process the strike or turn to defend herself, Amaya inflicts a second deep stab wound to her back, followed rapidly by a third blade strike directly into her abdomen. The affidavit notes that as soon as the first drops of blood hit the gravel, the rest of the group closes in. 21-year-old Kitty Diaz immediately joins her younger sister, throwing herself into the physical assault. Moments later, Kyandra Faz, the neighbor who claimed Caro was the aggressor, leaps into the fray, actively participating in the physical beatdown of a mother who is already bleeding heavily from her internal organs. Even with 3 separate stab wounds and a punctured lung, Caro's survival instinct takes over. Her friend Christina, who later had to endure looking at a horrific, leaked photo of the immediate aftermath posted on a local Del Rio community Facebook page, stated, "That girl, she was a fighter. She was still standing her ground." Caro didn't instantly drop. She stayed on her feet, trying to hold her position in the driveway. But her attackers are already running. Realizing what they've done, all 3 women sprint back to the black Chrysler sedan. The tires kick up dust as they flee East 10th Street, leaving a mother of 5 dying in the mid-afternoon sun. Somehow, dragging herself through sheer willpower, Caro manages to get back into her vehicle to seek help. But as her truck speeds toward the hospital, the 3 suspects are executing a lightning-fast plan to bury the evidence, and it almost works. The timeline of the police response moves with blistering speed, exposing the calculated actions the suspects took the moment they got away from the lens. When the call comes in from Valverde Regional Medical Center at 2:10 p.m., the Del Rio Police Department splits its resources. While patrol units secure the pickup truck at the emergency room bay, detectives secure the crime scene on East 10th Street. They pull the residential surveillance footage immediately. Within minutes, investigators have clear, unmistakable descriptions of the Diaz sisters, Kyandra Faz, and the black Chrysler sedan. By approximately 4 p.m., less than 2 hours after the knife first pierced Caro's back, officers track the vehicle down and descend upon the home of Kitty and Amaya Diaz. When detectives knock on the door, they find a scene that heavily complicates the narrative and severely underscores any future defense claim of a panicked, accidental neighborhood dispute. The Diaz sisters are entirely clean. In the short span of 120 minutes, both Kitty and Amaya have already showered, thoroughly scrubbing the physical remnants of the driveway assault from their skin. They have stripped off the pink and red tank tops and the blue jeans clearly captured on the doorbell video, hiding them away and putting on completely fresh outfits to alter their physical appearance before the police arrive. Because of this rapid attempt to destroy forensic evidence, prosecutors don't just charge 21-year-old Kitty Diaz with murder. They add an immediate, separate felony count to her sheet, tampering with physical evidence. A short time later, officers locate and arrest Kyandra Faz. Inside the police department, the stories begin to unravel. Faz tries to position herself as the victim of an aggressive trespasser, but investigators hold the ultimate piece of leverage, a fixed digital video recording that doesn't rely on memory, doesn't take sides, and explicitly shows a knife being driven into a woman's back while she stood completely unarmed by a truck. Meanwhile, Caro's medical condition takes a critical turn. Because Del Rio's local hospital lacks the specialized trauma infrastructure required to repair a severed lung and multiple deep internal blade tracks, medical teams urgently airlift her to a comprehensive trauma center in San Antonio. For nearly 7 hours, Caro fights to stay alive for her kids. But at 9 p.m., investigators in Del Rio receive the phone call from San Antonio. Caroline Peña has succumbed to her injuries. The booking logs are immediately pulled, and the charges are officially upgraded to first-degree murder. As the news of the first-degree murder charges spread across the state, public discourse became hyper-focused on a single viral video clip. A bystander's phone had caught one of the co-defendants smiling and joking toward a camera while being escorted into the back of a police cruiser. Social media channels exploded with millions of views, flooded local feeds, and generated intense public outrage, pointing to the smile as absolute proof of a cold-blooded killer. Former law enforcement experts have noted that viral optics mean very little inside a Texas courtroom. The state measures accountability in raw structural penalties. A Valverde County judge sets the bond for Kitty Diaz, Amaya Diaz, and Kyandra Faz at an extraordinary $5 million each, keeping them securely held behind the concrete walls of the GEO Correctional Facility. Court documents list all 3 young women as completely unemployed. As the justice system moves through the summer of 2026, the local grand jury continues reviewing the evidence for formal indictments. No official motive has been read into the public record, and a definitive trial date has yet to be scheduled. The legal process will take months, perhaps years, to unpack the exact interpersonal turmoil that led to those 60 seconds on East 10th Street. But for the people left behind in Del Rio, the ledger is already balanced in permanent, unfixable loss. Caro's close friend, Zelina Ochoa, put the shallow outrage of the internet into its final, most devastating perspective. Those 3 girls are in jail. Eventually, they'll see their kids through a glass window or a phone call. But Caro is just a memory now. Those 5 kids were left entirely without a mom. 5 children now live in a reality where the woman who cooked sopa de fideo, the woman who answered the phone at 5:30 a.m. out of pure loyalty, exists only in digital photographs and the quiet memories of a small Texas border town. If you value true crime coverage built on verified legal documents and raw facts rather than internet rumors, take a second to subscribe and turn on notifications. As this case heads toward a Texas courtroom, the state's evidence points to a calculated ambush, while the defense faces an uphill battle proving self-defense. Let us know your thoughts on how this evidence will hold up in court.